If they do succeed in November, it would obviously open up a Senate seat in Ohio. Would you consider it?
I haven't gotten that question today at all, actually. No, the reality is it's hot off the press. To be frank, I would strongly consider it if I were asked to serve, but I would also want to have a serious conversation with President Trump about the other ways I could have an impact on the country.
Vivek Ramaswamy just made a big announcement live at the RNC regarding his political future, because obviously there is a lot of speculation over that. You saw yesterday Donald Trump selected Ohio Senator JD Vance to be the VP, and that is getting some mixed reactions from the base. Some people really like the pick, some people don't, some people wish it would have been Vivek, but ultimately I think at this point it is what it is, right? I think it is time to move forward and look to the future. I have given my thoughts, you've given yours, but I think now the focus needs to be getting this ticket elected, and let's all just hope that JD Vance ends up being a good vice president. But of course the question looms, where does Ramaswamy now fit into that puzzle? There's been a lot of speculation over him being a potential Trump cabinet member, but now that a Senate seat has been vacated by JD Vance, there is some speculation that perhaps Vivek Ramaswamy may be the favorite to replace Vance, and he will be now a United States senator. We'll talk about that in a moment because Vivek did directly address these claims. But first, I do want to play, take a listen here. This was Vivek Ramaswamy's live reaction to Vance being selected. Check it out.
Well, I was just informed that while we were sitting here, Donald Trump has picked Senator JD Vance.
You kidding me? Right here? Okay.
Vice President. right now, while we are...
Is that right? There it is. I see it. Well, I'm glad to see it. I actually messaged JD earlier today offering him. It sounded like the winds were pointing in that direction. And I had offered him my preliminary congratulations. And I think he will be an outstanding vice president, actually. I think he's not going to be a good vice president. He's going to be an outstanding vice president. I think President Trump and our country will be lucky to have him. I will certainly do everything in my power to make sure the Trump-Vance ticket is successful. I want to think about this, but I'm inclined to say this could be the single most formidable political ticket in my lifetime. And I want to see them succeed at a scale that not only makes the Republican Party thrive, but makes the country thrive. And, I think we need more people like JD in American politics. So I'm very happy for him and excited for everything that's ahead.
So as you can see, Vivek clearly happy with the pick. No hard feelings there. There may be some hard feelings from Vivek's fans, but not from him personally. He clearly loves the pick of JD Vance, and that's not surprising considering, both Vance and Vivek do come from a similar, I'm not going to say the same, but a similar cut of that Ohio, like working class populism that arguably defined Trump in 2016. And I would have to imagine, actually, that knowing he personally wasn't going to be the VP, Vivek may have been a big lobbyist inside the inner circle to push for a populist like JD Vance. But with that said, again, I understand some people don't like Vance, whatever. We're going to find out, right? We're going to find out who's right about Vance and who's wrong. Ultimately now, though, like I said, let us look to the future, because not only do we now have a VP selected, but there's now going to be an empty Senate seat in Ohio that needs to be filled. Some people really want to see Vivek Ramaswamy fill that seat. Well, take a listen. They asked him on NBC yesterday, straight up directly, would you be open to filling that empty Senate seat in Ohio? And take a listen to what he said. This is the big announcement I was talking about. He says he's fully open to it, and you can see he is clearly eyeing it. Take a listen.
If they do succeed in November, it would obviously open up a Senate seat in Ohio. Would you consider it?
I haven't gotten that question today at all, actually. No, the reality is it's hot off the press. To be frank, I would strongly consider it if I were asked to serve, but I would also want to have a serious conversation with President Trump about the other ways I could have an impact on the country. My top passion is taking on the regulatory state. I think that's a nonpartisan issue that's actually impeding our economy, in some ways even threatens the American model of self-governance. I think that administrative state is far too big. There are ways to address that from the executive branch. There are also things that need to be done from Congress and the Senate, too. So I look forward to those conversations. after President Trump is successfully reelected with JD Vance.
So as you can see, Vivek clearly open to the idea of taking that Senate seat. I'm sure many people are excited about that potential prospect, but I will say to hold your horses a little bit because there are a couple logistical issues potentially with Vivek taking that seat. The first is that if JD Vance becomes the VP officially, they win the election, the job to replace the senator will come from the appointment of the Ohio governor, Mike DeWine. And if you know anything about Mike DeWine, he is a complete rhino. He's a total never Trumper. And it's looking very likely he's going to put up Matt Dolan, who is a complete rhino, to that Senate seat. And now that said, if we do win the election, maybe there's an angle where Trump can really push hard and say, no, I want to put Vivek up there. Listen to me. I'm the leader of the party. But that would be the current situation from now until I believe 2026 is when they are saying they would have the special election. Now, come 2026, what you would likely see is an open primary between Matt Dolan, the rhino guy, the DeWine endorsed guy, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who would get the endorsement of Trump and everyone in Trump's circle. So very likely, if that all played out, Vivek would be able to win that Senate seat in 2026, and you would indeed see him in the halls of the United States Capitol. But with that in mind, I will also say, as excited as some people are, I don't necessarily know if I want Vivek to be a senator, because don't get me wrong, it's either between him or a rhino in that position. So yes, of all the people I can think of from Ohio politics, he is basically the only good person we can stick in there. But at the same time, I also would argue that being a senator, Vivek would not have exactly the power or the position to truly impact policy, because how does the Senate really work? It's sort of a party line vote. Like, yeah, he can go to Mitch McConnell or whoever is in charge of the Senate majority by then and say, I want this done, I want that done. But ultimately, I think where Vivek, he is a visionary, he has these ideas, would be best served truly is a position on Donald Trump's cabinet where he can directly influence administrative policy, right? He can influence the executive orders. He can push Trump to then tell, with his higher standing because he's the president, then tell the House, then tell the Senate, this is the legislative agenda I want. I think that is a much more powerful seat to have, arguably, than simply being in the Senate and being drowned out by the other 49 or however many Republican senators there end up being. But either way, on the flip side, you could say if you do want Vivek to have some type of big career in national politics, if you really want him to be the candidate in 2028 or 2032 or the future or something, then yes, arguably, maybe sitting on the Senate seat for a couple years does give a little more status, a little more clout, a little more credibility to, run for president in the future. But, at the same time, I don't know. Who knows? Either way, I think whether he fills that Senate seat or he is in the cabinet, we get a decent outcome, to say the least. So there you have it. I do want to close this video by playing a little speech he gave in front of a small crowd. I believe this was at the RNC, because, we talk about the future all the time. Oh, will he be a senator? Will he fill the White House? But ultimately, none of that matters if we don't win this election in November. And I think it's very important that we understand the stakes of this election that is coming up. So with that said, take a listen to what Vivek had to say informally in front of a small crowd at the RNC. And this may be a slight preview of his big speech that he is giving on the stage tonight. Take a listen.
That has called a Republican president a tyrant, a dictator, said it would be the end of the United States of America as we know it, said he would make us a laughingstock on the global stage. And those are exact quotes, actually, of what they said about Abraham Lincoln. Saw the Lincoln hat. You might have wanted me to remember that. Those were words that the Democrat-led media said about the first ever Republican president before he was shot and assassinated in 1865. Wow. So think about that in the moment that we live in today. We came within, Lincoln actually spoke at this convention. It was at a Republican convention. It was at a Republican state convention, I think in 1858, when he said a house divided cannot stand. That was on the eve of a nation that was on the brink of civil war. That's right. I think we came within a hair's breadth of a second civil war in this country, and we avoided it. Yes. And I think it's because God intervened. And I believe that he has given us a chance to answer his call.
Amen.
And I think that's the moment we live in right now. Is the hard part is we are in a kind of war in this country.
We are.
But the enemy is not our fellow citizens.
No.
Actually. It is an ideology.
That's right.
And so this is the work we have cut out ahead of us, is how do we win this war while still viewing our neighbors as our fellow citizens and not as our enemy combatants? Are we up to that challenge? I believe we are.
That is a powerful and I think very strong message that not only highlights the stakes of this current election, but arguably is just good political rhetoric. I really hope he focuses on this, at the stage tonight, because this is something people need to hear, obviously, right? Because, we are at a time of huge division, right? Obviously, you saw what just happened. We do kind of want to have a moment of national unity. And don't get me wrong, that's a very dangerous place you want to be when assassinations start happening. People start viewing each other as the enemy. Absolutely. But at the same time, we also can't be so soft on it that we lose the fact that this is a battle we are in, figuratively speaking, politically speaking. And I think if we do want to unify the country, if we do want to see a better day in America, ultimately, I think the right side has to win it. Peacefully, of course, through the aims of politics and the system that our founding fathers set up for us. But, that is very true, and that is very real. So with that said, folks, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. I, again, truly believe, as much as we want to speculate over the future, oh, it's exciting, he's going to be senator or whatever, we got to win this election first. So do not lose sight of that. All right, that said, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, God bless and peace.